Hello. In my last video, I was talking about the truth, wasn't I? And now I'm going to show you a cat coming out of a bag. That's a promise. But meanwhile, I'm going to tell you that I'm granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. The links are in the description, or as are the links to a couple of sites you can use to donate to the channel. But it's really important, and this doesn't cost you a bean, to click like. Yeah, that really is important, at least that's what I'm told. You can also share and subscribe. Remember, if you're on YouTube, you might need to check that you're still subscribed. That's not a given. Okay, are you waiting for the cat? Patience. I'll start with this headline. It's an article from the 15th of May, so a little while ago. I did have other things to talk about, didn't I? But let's face it, this is the sort of story that is, well, it's going to run and run, isn't it? So I knew there was no hurry with it. Here we are. Nurses call for more strikes to deal with racist anti-working class Tories. So what's this all about? Well, it's not about the welfare of nurses, is it? It's about, well, defeating a political party. So take it away, Felix. This is a strike in the service of an attempted political takeover. The Nurses Union is now a political party determined to wrest power from the elected government. So you've heard of the Nanny State, haven't you? Well, this is a state where Nurse Ratchet has ambitions. Now, secondly, pay attention to the second part. Anti-working class Tories. I don't understand why they didn't put the word homophobic in there as well. It sort of goes together. She's obviously suffering from some memory problems, like what happened the last time there was a Labour government. Look, say what you like about the Tories, and I do all the time, but racist. Let's take a look at the present cabinet. Our government is headed by Rishi Sunak, who is from an Indian family who got to these shores via East Africa. And, well, there's not enough time to go through all of them, but just take a look at the cabinet. It is boasted that this is the most ethnically diverse cabinet in British history. You know what? I don't see what there is to boast about being ethnically diverse. Actually, my concern, and I suppose yours too, is can they do their jobs? And my answer is, well, no, they can't. But that's another issue. The important thing is that you can say they're incompetent, you can say they're inefficient, you can say they're clueless, you can say they're woke, you can say they're timid, and you can say they're conniving. But racist? But that's the thing, actually, because recently you get people standing in front of cameras. We're getting used to that, aren't we? You see somebody standing in front of cameras, you know, with their microphones, and there, in shot, is the complete opposite of what they're saying, of what they say is happening. You know, there are a couple of clips, I'll find a couple, of the mostly peaceful George Floyd riots, where you get somebody standing there with the microphone and the world is collapsing about them and it's all mostly people. They are telling you one thing, as you can see with your eyes that something else is happening. And that seems to be, there is no shame in this anymore. This is a thing. Now, it used to be a thing in communist governments, didn't it? You know, all peace and progress and crumbling buildings in the background. But we thought we were better than that, and just look. We've got these nurses over here now talking about racist Tories while they're directing their bile at our Prime Minister, the Tory Rishi Sunak. Yeah, politics of accusation, that's what it is. And the next bit, anti-working class. In what way are the Conservatives any worse for the working class than Labour? What political party has been for the working classes in the past 20 years, or even more? Going into the EU destroyed our fishing industry, and I suppose you might admit that the fishermen are working class, wouldn't you? Labour and Conservatives alike have facilitated the influx of migrant labour, which is always cheap labour. It doesn't matter where they come from, wherever they come from, they undercut the value of the working class people in employment. And they've both done it. I know there's hardly a credit card to force between Labour and the Conservatives on that one, but yeah, you might say marginally the Labour Party is more pro open migration than the Conservatives are. So basically, and the nurses too. There are many nurses who are being employed from abroad. Now, if this Pat Cullen, the union's general secretary, she's calling the Tories anti-working class, and yet it's the foreign nurses who are undercutting the wage bargaining value of the nurses who are here, who are already here. The funny thing is that she was quite conciliatory to begin with, and recently though she's just gone completely bonkers. She says pay talks have to start off in double figures before they'll even sit down at the table, and you wonder what sort of agenda she has. And she's threatening another 6 months of industrial action right up to Christmas. She is threatening. And here we have somebody else saying, the NHS, somebody who was allowed to make a speech, they're all singing from the same song sheet, aren't they? The NHS strikes are part of a social and political struggle. This has nothing to do with the nurses. A political struggle to save the NHS. Well, yeah, saving the NHS is a very odd thing, because the way the NHS is going now, it will not be saved. You can save the name, you're not going to save the services the way it's going on now. And it is to defeat also this government, this Tory, racist, anti-working class government, accompanied by cheers. So this woman said that that they are calling for other people to join them. And the crowd whooped and clapped as A&E nurse Lindsay Curtis Dawson directly warned the Prime Minister that nurses would not back down. And in a masterly example of British understatement, a Department of Health and Social Care source says, "It is regrettable that some union activists seem determined to pursue a political agenda. Strikes are in no one's interest, least of all the patients." And that's the most anti-working class you can get when you're not giving patients who can't afford to jump queues with private care, when you're not treating them. I can think of nothing more anti-working class that's even possible. And as I say, Labour is even more pro-migration than the Conservatives. And pro-migration means pro-cheap labour. If the nurses were so for the working classes, they'd be back in their A&E departments and the cancer ward and so on at once. But I don't think these people are so much pro-working class as trying to influence the outcome of the next election. I just want to remind everyone, including any nurses that might be watching this, that being pro-democracy is the basis of being pro-working class. And the way the Royal College of Nursing is acting right now, it's not pro-democracy. What gets me is the way that such people feel empowered actually to come out with provable lies, and they're not being picked up on it. You see, it's all right for activists and idealists and political agitators to do what they're doing. It's up to our media to point out that they're doing things wrong, that they're lying. They are lying like those CNN and MSNBC newscasters standing in front of fires and saying that the demonstration's peaceful. They are lying in just the same way. Are the BBC howling in outrage about calling the present government racist? No. Are all the media laughing at their ridiculousness in the political agitation and the dangerousness of that? No, they're taking it all very seriously, so far as I can work out, and that's the problem. It's not because such organisations as the Royal College of Nursing are being headed by people who are still angry that Jeremy Corbyn isn't Prime Minister. It's that people know they're lying and they are saying nothing. And actually, I do not understand what is going on there. Anyway, while we all think about that, I'll say, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.